Welcome to the Dermatology Studio with Dr. Yusra Ayaz.
You know, if you've ever had an itch that just absolutely refuses to quit, the kind that can even wake you up at night, then you might already be familiar with atopic dermatitis. Most of us just call it eczema. But here's the thing, it is so much more than just a little patch of dry skin. It's actually a pretty complex chronic inflammatory condition, and it affects millions of people. So today, we're going to pull back the curtain and really get into what eczema is all about, from what causes it to the incredible ways it's being treated. Okay, let's kick things off with this one simple but really powerful idea. Atopic dermatitis is often called the itch that rashes. So why is that? Well, it's because the itch actually comes first. It's this intense, sometimes maddening itch that makes you scratch, and it's the scratching that then leads to the rash we can see. In this explainer, we're going to follow that itch all the way from the moment of diagnosis to the absolute cutting edge of modern treatment.
So here's our game plan. First, we're going to play detective and look at how doctors actually confirm a diagnosis. Then, we'll put on our lab coats and see how they measure its severity. After that, we'll dive into the entire treatment playbook, from the very first line of defense all the way up to the most advanced options out there. And then, to wrap it all up, we're going to uncover some really surprising facts about eczema that the research has brought to light.
Okay, so you've got an itch, you've got a rash. How does a doctor know for sure that it's atopic dermatitis and not something else? Well, it always starts with a good conversation and a physical exam. But to really get the full picture and to confirm the atopic or allergic nature of it, they turn to a whole set of specific tests.
Think of this as the doctor's diagnostic toolkit. You've got blood tests for IgE antibodies, which are basically looking for signs of an allergic response. Then you have things like prick tests, patch tests, and challenge tests to pinpoint specific triggers. You know, is it something in the air, something you ate, or something that touched your skin? And of course, a simple swab can check for any secondary infections, which can happen a lot when the skin's barrier is compromised.
Now this is where it gets really interesting. These blood tests can do a lot more than just give a yes or no on an allergy. Certain biomarkers, like a really high total IgE level or elevated eosinophil and LDH counts, well, they're kind of like a speedometer for the inflammation in your body. They don't just point to a trigger, they actually help doctors track how active and progressive the disease itself is.
All right, so once the diagnosis is confirmed, the next really crucial step is to figure out just how severe the condition is. Because, not all eczema is created equal. It's a whole spectrum, right? It can range from a minor annoyance to something that really impacts your life. And doctors have objective ways to measure exactly where a person falls on that spectrum.
One of the main tools for this is something called body surface area, or BSA. It's pretty straightforward. The severity classification goes up based on what percentage of your body is affected. So while mild eczema can pop up just about anywhere, moderate to severe cases get defined by whether the rash covers less than 10%, up to 30%, or in the most severe cases, even more of your skin.
And this really shows you the physical difference. I mean, mild AD might just be a few dry patches here and there, with an itch that kind of comes and goes. But in severe cases, we're talking about widespread dryness, a constant intense itch and redness, and even painful cracking, bleeding, or that thickening of the skin that happens as the body tries to protect itself. It's a whole different ballgame.
So, we have a diagnosis, we understand its severity, now what? Well, now we talk about management. And it all begins with a foundational first-line treatment plan that is absolutely essential for almost everyone with the condition.
Let's look at this concept of a management ladder. It's a great way to think about it, a step-by-step approach to getting eczema under control. Pretty much everyone starts on step 1. If that isn't enough to get the job done, you move up to step 2, and you keep going up as needed. The whole goal is to use the simplest, safest, and most effective treatment possible to calm the skin down and keep it that way.
So what does that first step actually look like? Well, it's really a multi-pronged attack. It's about education, learning about the condition, and how to avoid your known triggers. It's about being consistent with emollients every single day to repair your skin's barrier. And of course, it's about using topical corticosteroids to put out the fire when you have a flare-up. Plus, for sensitive areas like the face, there are other great options like TCIs, crisaborole, and even some new topical JAK inhibitors. But what happens when that foundational plan just isn't enough to tame moderate to severe atopic dermatitis? Well, that's when doctors start climbing that management ladder to bring in the more advanced interventions.
The next rungs on the ladder include things like wet wrap therapy, which is a way to intensely hydrate and medicate the skin, or phototherapy, which uses specific wavelengths of UV light to calm the immune response right there at the surface. And if those still aren't enough, doctors might prescribe systemic immunosuppressants, pills like cyclosporin or methotrexate, which work throughout your entire body to dial down that inflammation.
And now we get to the very top of the ladder, the real cutting edge of treatment, biologics. Now, these are not like the general immunosuppressants we just mentioned. A great way to think about them is like heat-seeking missiles for your immune system. They're incredibly targeted therapies, engineered from living cells to go after the very specific molecules that are driving the inflammation in atopic dermatitis. So, for example, a biologic called dupilumab blocks the receptor for two key inflammatory proteins, interleukin-4 and interleukin-13. Others, like lebrikizumab, go after IL-13 directly. It's this level of precision that makes them so incredibly effective for many people with severe disease. They are fundamentally changing how we manage this condition.
And right alongside biologics is another class of game-changing drugs, JAK inhibitors. These are what we call small molecules. They can actually get inside your immune cells and interrupt the communication signals that tell the cell to create inflammation. So by blocking this JAK-STAT pathway, they can effectively turn down the immune system's overreaction from the inside out. Pretty amazing stuff.
All right, we have covered a ton, from diagnosis all the way to management. Now, let's totally switch gears and have a little fun. We're going to do a rapid-fire round of fascinating, and sometimes kind of strange, facts that research has uncovered about atopic dermatitis.
Let's start with the world around us. We know certain yeasts and bacteria on our skin can make eczema worse. But what's fascinating is that research suggests that being exposed to other microbes early in life, like H. pylori or even the hepatitis A virus, might actually have a protective effect. It all ties into the hygiene hypothesis, this idea that maybe being too clean in childhood might make us more prone to allergies.
And get this, it builds right on that idea. Some of the strongest evidence for this protective effect comes from studies on kids who grow up with direct contact with farm animals and who drink unpasteurized farm milk in their first couple of years. They have a reduced risk of developing AD. So, yeah, maybe a little dirt really is a good thing. Okay, what in the world does this number mean? 7-to-1. It's not a sports score. It's not a secret code. It is the ratio of CD4 to CD8 T cells, two types of immune cells, that are found in the skin during an early eczema flare. This specific 7-to-1 ratio points to a very particular kind of T cell imbalance that is a real hallmark of the condition. Here's a quick and super practical one for you. Where you see eczema often depends on how old you are. In babies, it's typically all over their face and cheeks. In childhood, it tends to move to the crooks of the elbows and the backs of the knees. And then in adults, it often affects those same areas, but also the hands and even the border of the lips. This is a simple but really powerful finding from a lot of different studies. There is a clear and strong statistical link between obesity and atopic dermatitis. It just highlights this deep, deep connection between our metabolic health and the health of our skin.
And finally, let's end the facts on this really crucial concept. You know, we've talked a lot about allergies and the adaptive immune system. That's kind of our body's specialized forces. But at its absolute core, atopic dermatitis is a disease where the body's first line of defense, its innate immunity and the physical skin barrier itself, is compromised. That right there is the foundation of the whole problem.
And that brings us to our final thought for today. We've journeyed all the way from a simple itch to these incredibly precise therapies that target specific molecules. So the question really is, as we get better and better at pinpointing the exact mechanisms of a disease, what does the future of managing chronic conditions like this actually look like? I mean, are we on the verge of a future where we can not just manage, but maybe even resolve them? It feels like we're moving from just suppressing symptoms to real precision, and the future is looking brighter than ever.
Thanks for watching. Hit like, share, and subscribe to the Dermatology Studio. Ask your skin queries in the comments below.